Welcome back to Sunday Square Off. The Trump wing of the Republican Party is sky high right now after Kari Lake's victory in the primary for governor, savoring thoughts of avenging Trump's defeat in Arizona in 2020. The anti-Trump wing has branded the GOP statewide slate as the, quote, doomsday ticket, loaded with troubled candidates. But can the Democrats take advantage? Joining us are Kathy Petsas, longtime Republican activist and former GOP chair in the most competitive legislative district in the state, and Stacy Pearson, a co-founder of the Democratic consulting firm Lumen Strategies. Welcome to Square Off. Kathy, how long have you been an active Republican?
Oh, since preteen.
Preteen. Okay, I'm not going to say how long ago that was, probably not very long. What does this moment feel like for you?
Well, this is a very different place where we are right now. We have never been in this type of political environment in the country or in the state of Arizona. We have never had a sitting Republican, a former president, be so active and putting their thumb on the scale for who candidates ought to be going forward. We've never been in this kind of environment where there was an insurrection at our United States Capitol to take back the power. And we are in an area of where our democracy, the foundation of democracy, is really at stake in how we proceed and go forward.
So, in case folks don't know it yet, you are clearly not on the Trump side of this, but what has it done to the party itself? Because as an observer...
Well, it's fractured the party.
Is it just a fracture? Because it looks to me like this is the San Andreas fault. And I know there have been divisions before, going back to the 80s, maybe before that, but this is pretty serious when you have a sitting party chair coming out against your own candidates.
Yeah, one would argue that truly the establishment is now the current party who put their thumb on the scale for those candidates they felt should emerge out of the primary, the former president, and you have a activist, well-funded, conservative organization in Turning Point USA who also came out. One would say now that's the establishment, they're the swamp. So they have established what are their candidates that they are leading in with, and the rest of the Republican Party, we the rest of the people, need to decide if the ultra MAGA movement is what moves us ahead. And right now, is it what moves us ahead in Arizona? And are the voters willing to play chess and take a long look at what these types of leaders offer moving forward in Arizona?
Very interesting rebrand there. I want to turn to Stacy. So here's what Republican Maricopa County Chair Bill Gates told Politico in a story about this doomsday ticket about the Democratic Party. Quote, I think the only way back for Republicans is by humiliation at the ballot box. And the problem is the Democrats aren't strong enough to do that. Your response?
It's a bad bet. When we see what's happening at the federal level with Senator Sinema's success, when we see what just happened in Kansas, when abortion was on the ticket, I think that is a gross misjudgment of how effective we're going to be this November.
But you don't have, well, we don't know yet whether you have enough money. I'm told some money's coming in on the Secretary of State's race and the Attorney General's race for Democrats. It's unclear whether Katie Hobbs is going to have any financial backing from outside.
Oh, I'm certain she will.
You think she will?
Absolutely.
As much as the RGA is putting behind Kari Lake, $11 million?
I certainly think it's going to be comparable. And all eyes are on Arizona, both for direct democracy protection, which is also on the ballot in November, and these top of the ticket races, both the Senate race, the gubernatorial, Secretary of State, AG, all of these races are being looked at by the national.
So we heard in our last couple segments ago how Stacey Barchanger described how Katie Hobbs will present this. How big an issue should Democrats make, Democratic candidates make, about democracy itself and what all the slate stands for, which is overturning the 2020 election?
It is a huge issue, and we see this particularly among moderate Republicans. They're done talking about the 2020 election, and there's no calculus in which a Democrat can win in Arizona without pulling a certain portion of crossover voters. Saw it with Penzone, We saw it with Senator Sinema. We saw it with Senator Kelly. The road to success in Arizona is a crossover into the suburbs. It's that simple.
And what about the abortion issue? A big vote in Kansas this past week. How do you think that will play out here in Arizona?
It is extraordinarily important. I've been looking at polling for more than 20 years in this state, and I have never seen reproductive rights in a top 3 issue. I've seen it 3 times this week. And what's very interesting about this is it is not about my uterus. It is about the government being in my gynecologist's office with conservatives. So we're talking about a large swath of the population that refused to wear a mask because the government told them to. They certainly don't want the government telling them what decisions need to be made in their own reproductive health. And so the abortion issue has managed to flip all the way around and collect the libertarians with what the progressives have always said in terms of protecting reproductive rights.
Kathy, does that plan alarm you? Do you think that would succeed?
It's a thought. And I would say that privacy is really what motivates most people. It is a privacy issue. And that if we're looking at privacy issues, and we are looking at that consistent with all types of issues that relate to privacy, not just healthcare. And I think that that's a motivating issue for a lot of people who are going to be in the middle right now. The MAGA, ultra MAGA movement of that discussion of the election, they've gotten those votes. Those votes are in the can. They have them. They got them. They've won with that at halftime. Now we're playing for the rest of the game. And we need to win general elections. And I don't know, and we'll have to see how they pivot. Kari Lake has started to pivot already in terms of taking a look at, is Katie Hobbs competent in this job? Yet we don't really know what Kari Lake's competencies are either. And where is she going to pivot when it comes to the economy? I'm sorry, but whatever happens in D.C. is a reflection of what's going to happen out here. And I don't know that Joe Biden's going to be able to save Katie Hobbs. Right now, we have soaring grocery, we have high gas prices. The economy isn't as stable nationwide. We might be doing okay here in Arizona, but it will affect what happens if people move to a Kari Lake or a Katie Hobbs choice for governor.
And what about that? Because every Democrat in the country is facing those, what they call headwinds, right? What's happening nationally. How do you overcome that?
So certainly the package that's being passed in D.C. is going to impact and favorably impact for Democrats.
The Inflation Reduction Act,
yes,
that's on the table right now.
When seniors go to pick up their prescriptions next month and they're a fraction of the price that they paid last month, that is going to be a positive impact. And certainly our job creation numbers, gases, I saw this week the first time in 5 months, gas has been under $4. At certain pumps in Arizona, those things are going to impact. And we both know voters have very short memories. And so the next 68 days before ballots drop, 67 days before ballots drop are going to be critical.
And I want to end talking about the legislature, because not much has been said. But boy, that legislature, which was already well entrenched on the right, has swung farther right, hasn't it, after the primaries?
It has. It is an ultra MAGA legislature. That's what it's going to be. And really, it's a shame to Raquel Turan, who did not manage to field better candidates and bring up some candidates. We have just a few competitive races, but this is a type of legislature, and we have gubernatorial candidates and a Secretary of State candidate and down the line who are all promoted through Turning Point USA. They have an agenda. So the calculus is going to be is whether these voters are going to play the long game, if they play chess and say, if I have this governor and they have this alliance with Turning Point USA on this agenda, do I like these ideas? Am I for this? Because those are things that will likely be brought up, and there's not a governor there with Kari Lake who might stop this. Will we be getting rid of voting machines? Will we be getting rid of early balloting? What will happen with Maricopa County?
So you're saying Katie Hobbs could say, you know what, you need me there because of these guys.
Perhaps she can, but she also has a credibility issue. She has a credibility issue in terms of whether she really can lead, whether she can govern, and that's all under the table.
Last word on that. Can Katie Hobbs govern? The credibility issue, the race, the discrimination case that's been held against her.
Absolutely. I mean, that discrimination case is but her emails. When we're looking at eliminating early voting or voting machines, and we're talking about the dismissal of a staffer that Katie wasn't even directly responsible for, it's but her emails. And I think we're going to see the Democratic Party coalesce, stop the circular firing squad on this issue, and move forward, and certainly bring independent women with them.
But then it's Biden. Biden will determine whether Katie Hobbs can win or not.
Okay, got to end it there. Great discussion. Kathy Petsas, Stacy Pearson, thank you so much for joining us.